Hey, this is Jeff, still exploring the area outside the New Vegas world map. It's been about 15 minutes since the last episode for me, but it's probably been a couple weeks for you, depending on when I get this edited and uploaded. I got stuck in a hole between a rock and an invisible wall, loaded my last save, walked back to the corner of the Nellis Air Force Base perimeter fence, and decided to take a bio break. I'm playing on the Xbox to prove you can get out here without using any mods or cheats. You can see how I did it in episode 1. I should probably make this a separate playlist. Right now, all the outside the world map videos are scattered around my Fallout trivia playlist, and it would make sense to put them in one of their own so you can watch them all without searching through a bunch of unrelated stuff. Of course, by the time you hear this, it'll probably be done, so assuming I remember to do it. Anyway, I'm going to drop a save here so I don't have to backtrack if I get stuck again, and we'll try the other direction. One of the thoughts I had, even if we can't find a way over or through the fence, if we get close enough to one of the map markers, then you could just fast travel there. The problem is the save file I started this series from already has all the Nellis markers, so unfortunately I won't be able to know for sure. And the Nellis array is, not the solar, another invisible wall. Anyway, I'm 99% sure the hangars are far enough from the fence on the other side that that's a no-go, but the solar array is, over there. And I don't remember how close the fence, well, yeah, I don't think so. Well, there's always the front gate. I'm not intimately familiar with the front gate area because I've only taken 2 routes from Vegas to the base. The first one that almost everybody uses, hugging the cliffs after you talk to George. The other way is the tunnel near Raoul's shack, but to me that's even more dangerous. First, there are frequently death claws in that area, and then you have to pick a very hard lock to get into the tunnel, which is full of feral ghouls, and when you come out, you're still a fair distance from the fence. Not as far as going the other way, but the artillery still fires on you, and you have to run through a narrow canyon where there's not as much cover or room to dodge. That's interesting. Anyway, over or through does not appear to be. Just a little attention to detail, like the boomers have to make improvised repairs when the fence gets damaged, which is kind of impressive considering how few people probably ever see this area, even from the other side of the fence. And more invisible walls. Anyway, there's a third way to the gate, which George recommends, but I don't think anybody does. Make a short dash through the town itself using the buildings as cover. And it looks like the fence ends at this outcrop. Maybe we can squeeze through or jump over from the top of the rock. See if we can get up there and see if we can get over it. Nope. Invisible wall. Not gonna work. No, it was a good thought. Anyway, because I've never tried it George's way, I have no idea what that whole swath of terrain between the main road and the railroad tracks looks like. So, there might be a way to approach it from this side. I mean, I've obviously gone into the town to pick up the holo tags from the Dead Brotherhood Scout, but I always wait until I'm friends with the boomers before I do that. And I never really poked around the area any more than that. And this is where the canyon comes out if you take the tunnel route. So there shouldn't be any artillery between here and the gate, but cannot get there because of the invisible walls. Maybe a little farther in. Don't have high hopes for this, but as long as, more invisible walls. The invisible walls aren't exactly aligned with the cliff face, which is, I wouldn't say promising, but I mean, in heavily traveled areas that presumably get a lot of playtesting, I imagine they put a reasonable effort into making sure there weren't any gaps. But off the beaten path, we might find an oversight, like the gap that led us out of Crescent Canyon, which is how we ended up outside the world map in the first place. So this seems like the kind of place where if there was going to be that kind of oversight, this is where it would be. But thing is, if we go any further in that direction, even if we did find a way around the invisible wall, there wouldn't be much point, since you'd still have to run through the artillery barrage. And I'm guessing it probably runs along the edge of the cliff all the way to the tunnel, and then bends back around and encloses the whole area east of Raoul's shack out to the ranger station, in which case we won't be able to get anywhere near the front gate or even in the bombed-out town. Let's find a good vantage point and see if we can get the lay of the land here. Should have a good view of the base from this outcrop, maybe. There's the runway. The tracks that go back to the tunnel are right there. The draw distance isn't good enough to see Raquel's observation post, but the front gate is over by that white building to the left of the control tower. I'll get the scope out. Sometimes when you zoom, the game will start rendering details that it otherwise wouldn't at a given distance. That's the town George says you should dodge through. The front gate should be up there someplace. I'm not really seeing anything I didn't see before. Yeah, the night vision effect on the scope is activated by time of day, not the actual light level, so it comes on at 7 p.m. or whatever, even though, I was staring right into the blinding sunset. Anyway, I'm going to start over from the corner of the fence and try the other direction again. I don't remember if I ever said this explicitly, but the invisible walls around the perimeter of the playable area are there to keep rock climbing enthusiasts like me from abusing the terrain objects and the physics engine to escape the world map. And as the last few hours demonstrate, epic fail. I know people probably tired of hearing me rant about invisible walls inside the game world that are only there to try to force you into a linear story progression, so I won't even get started on that. My point is, there's no reason for them to swing west at Raoul's shack, back toward Vegas, because I assume the bombed-out town is accessible if you want to explore it. In fact, since I'm friends with the boomers and they won't shell me, I might actually do that off screen just to see if there's anything between there, besides the dead Brotherhood scout. Of course, just because there's no reason to put invisible walls there, that doesn't mean they didn't. I don't know, maybe there is a reason, like if they wanted to keep you from walking over the hill and finding Raoul's shack without fighting any death claws. Not saying it's a good reason. I hate it when you're playing a character who's all clever and sneaky and then they force you to go in all guns blazing. Sorry, said I wasn't going to rant about that. The real point is the invisible walls have to swing east at Raoul's shack to enclose the whole area around Bitter Springs and the ranger station. What is that one? Ranger Station Bravo. The Devil's Throat, that field of ghouls, down to Guardian Peak, and then you're back at the lake. Although maybe I should check that out, because a safe route to Bitter Springs would probably be more useful than a safe route to Nellis, because Bitter Springs, you've either got to fight Deathclaws or Cazadores or both, and usually Night Stalkers and Geckos, but it's the Deathclaws and Cazadores that make it dangerous. Anyway, I'm going to keep my distance from the cliff edge so we don't get stuck in the gap between the cliff and the invisible wall again, but I think if we get a look here, we're approaching the hangars. And we tested the whole way around that fence last time, so there's no point going down there again. So we will just, be safe, try to avoid the... if you saw the last episode, where the invisible walls, if they're past the edge of the cliff, it might seem like there's a place to get down, but then you get down there, the cliff is too steep to climb back up, but you're stuck between that and the invisible wall. So, that's why I ended up having to restart from my last save, because there was no way out when I got stuck in one of those places like that. Okay, so this game predates the memes by many, many years, but it would be pretty cool if, so if you haven't played the game, if you haven't played the game, why are you watching this video? But if you haven't played the game, the boomers are so-called because they like explosives and artillery and stuff. But it would be excellent if you could, when you're talking to Pearl and she says, "Oh, I need you to help out around the base," talk to people, see what they need. You could just say, "Okay, Boomer." Oh my. Yep. Um. Sorry, I don't know why. That just occurred to me, and I found it kind of amusing. Probably more amusing than you will, considering the circumstances. Yeah, this is about as far as we got last time before we got stuck at the bottom of this cliff, right about there. So let's not do that again. But that's the artillery area, so there's not much point going any further south. Oh, did I or did I not just say let's not do that again? What was I thinking? I mean, I guess I wasn't really thinking, but we were almost into the artillery area that you need to get through if you come the normal way. So as far as Nellis goes, the only thing this really gets you is being able to soften up the boomers from a distance if you decide to kill them for whatever reason. So I'm going to reload again, and I won't make you watch that trip a third time. I'll just fast forward or cut it or something when I'm editing. I don't know why it took me so much longer this time. Well, I have an idea, but there it is. So let's see what we can find west of here. I think this freeway is Route 15, and I'm going to wait until it's daylight again so I can see what I'm doing. Route 15 starts at a Mojave outpost in the southwest corner of the map and runs pretty much north from there to west side, but then it cuts over the northern part of the city and ends up here. Route 95 is like that too. It starts in the southeast part of the map and runs north, but it cuts over in the opposite direction and exits the map north of Mount Charleston. Anyway, it'd be pretty cool if... Ooh, that's weird. Apparently there's no collision detection on that ramp. Anyway, if we could just walk along the highway and drop down into North Vegas Square or Freeside or something, that would be pretty cool. Now, obviously, the highway has to go over the edge of the cliff somewhere, and I'm guessing the invisible walls that keep you from climbing the cliff are tall enough that it won't let you keep walking on the road either. Oh my. Or the highway bridge isn't solid either, just like the ramp. Well, that'd keep you from walking on it too. And that, I think, is Field's shack. Whatever the shack is that you see right before George Force greets you. So this should be overlooking the spot where he stands. Yeah, that's exactly where we are. This road leads to the bombed-out town, and the route I usually take to Nellis, except I'm at the bottom of the cliff trying to outrun the artillery barrage. If you did it George's way, obviously you wouldn't cut left, you'd keep going to the right and into that town. And like I say, supposedly you can use the buildings as cover, but I mean, I don't know if they really protect you from the explosions or not. And we're back where we started. I mean, theoretically, if you could find a way to get down and start running from a spot that's closer than where the artillery usually starts firing, you could probably run to the gate before the guns lock on and you take any damage. But I'm not getting stuck in having to reload again. I know I said that last time. This time, I mean it. So, let's head back over to Field's shack and see what we can see in that direction. Probably shouldn't fool around with that freeway bridge because... in fact, I'm going to drop a save right here. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if I get stuck in a hole or I start climbing around on a ghost bridge and plunge to my death. I don't want to start over from the far corner of Nellis again either way. So, is this really like... I don't know, maybe the Jersey barrier? Nope. And the support structure isn't solid either. And there is an invisible wall, but it's not like getting down there would buy us anything anyway. So, what's the next interesting thing north of the city? Northern Passage, I guess. After that, I don't think there's much until you get to the Tumbleweed Ranch, and then there's the pile up where you can't go any further on Route 95. And after that, just start going down the west edge of the map towards Jacobstown. In fact, this character has a lot of map markers. I've probably been here. Well, I mean, down there. But, yeah, not much between here and the Northern Passage, which doesn't do anything in the base game, but it's where you start the Honest Hearts DLC if you have it. All the DLC is actually like that. They use map markers that were in the base game, but well, they weren't map markers in the base game, but they were locations, or maybe they were like the drive-in's a map marker, but they didn't do anything. So you were kind of like, well, what's the point of this being here? But then when the DLC came out, that little shack right up against the cliff, it doesn't have a map marker, but I think that's where you take the guy. What's his name? The guy you have to kill for Mortimer if you're going all in with the White Glove Society. I do not remember, but I think that's where you have to lure him out there and do the deed. And might as well stick to the high ground. Better view, less chance of getting stuck. Yeah, that's a nice view of New Vegas. I think over on the right is where the entrance to North Vegas Square is, but you can only see those big junk signs. Draw distance is not the same on the Xbox as what I'm used to on the PC, so it looks kind of sketchy even when you're zoomed in with the rifle scope. So, let's see if we can... more invisible walls. All right, let's stick to even higher ground. Get up here and maybe have a better... Oh, that's interesting. Presumably you can see the top of this hill from down on the flat, so these rocks and cliff objects are there, so it's got some detail and depth if you're looking up here from down there. Yeah, there's another hollow cliff. If you want to know what that's all about, I think I explained it in episode 1. Anyway, get up top, and we should be able to see a sufficient distance to be able to kind of plan a route a little better than just fumbling around. Now, there is a nice view of the city. From the Freeside North Gate over there to Charleston Peak over there. That's west side, I guess. And then North Vegas Square, although you can only see part of the junk wall in the hotel. The Freeside North Gate there at the tip. And even if the freeway was solid, it doesn't look like you could get there because there's a big gap. Unless might be another issue with draw distance, but I doubt it. Anyway, I'm going to drop a save here and call it a night. For real this time. The last few episodes, or what I'm planning to split into multiple episodes, it was all recorded tonight, and it's time for bed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.